Hello and happy Tuesday. It's time for Stories with Sarah Lizabeth, and I'm excited to share this story with you. I have been thinking so much this week about what story I would want to share, and there's one that just keeps coming up in my head, but honestly, I am not ready to share it. It is probably the worst thing that's ever happened in the wedding industry, and I'm pretty sure that I still deal with PTSD from it. So I'm gonna hang tight to that one. But this story came to me really late last night, and I was like, why have I not thought about this one? After it's been years and years post an event, sometimes you have to kind of look back and think about particular things that happened. But I'm so glad that I remembered this one because it's great, and you guys are gonna love it. And it's about Groom Down. So a little backstory on this client. Every single planning meeting with this client started with about 20 minutes of sort of a discussion of the crazy that happened the weekend before. They loved to hear all of my stories, and they loved to hear the crazier ones more. They loved them. So we would just sit and laugh about all the things that would happen at weddings. So when the unthinkable happens at your wedding, you just go, oh my gosh, I just gave Sarah some material to talk about. And I have some great material to talk about. And I'm thankful for that. So to my clients, thank you. Thank you for this, because this one, it's a good one. It was a perfect day. It really was. The weather was actually amazing, which is rare, because as you know, last week we talked about the mother who's invited to your wedding no matter what, but she was behaving. The venue looked so cool and amazing and beautiful, and I was working in Indianapolis, which is where I was from, and I was working for clients that were first friends. So I was very excited to be a part of their wedding, and I was so excited to be able to see so many people that I loved and cared for attending their wedding. So all in all, it was gonna be a great day. All of the photos had been taken. All of the decor was set up. We were ready to go. The guests were starting to arrive. I had the bridal party in this back holding area as the guests were arriving. I literally remember thinking, which this was my fault, but I remember thinking, this is an amazing day. Everything has gone so smoothly. Everyone is happy. We are just excited. We're about to head down the aisle. Check, check, check. And it was in the 30 minutes before, I even had time to go out and see my friends that were attending the wedding. And so I was excited. Clients were happy, friends were happy, and I was looking forward to a great afternoon, evening spent into the reception. It was about 10 minutes before we were ready to go down the aisle, and I was gonna send the bride and groom off. And I was in the back getting everyone lined up, reading off the names, making sure everyone was in the right order. I was giving my spiel that I always give at weddings. At this time, if you have a cellular device, please silence it. If you're chewing gum, spit it out. And anything else that I needed to tell them right before we go. One of the things that I do always mention is that if you ever start to feel ill, just don't feel right, please just don't fight it. Just sit, lay down, whatever you need to do, because when the tunnel starts happening, when the gray tunnel arrives, it's not gonna end well. And the light at the end, it's not a light. It's the moment before you pass out and you faint. It's the moment where you realize that you've got less blood in your brain. Don't fight it. You won't win. So I was going through the line. I was getting everybody lined up. They were all facing the right direction. I was making sure everybody was in place. I mean, I was literally giving high fives. We were all celebrating. This was great. Everyone felt good. It was gonna be a great day. And then I turned and I said, all right, y'all, let's do this. It was at this point that the groom, who was first in line, said to me, Sarah, I don't feel good. Now, I know this person well. He is a close friend of mine. And so knowing that he is a bit of a jokester, I, of course, respond, oh, you are so funny. Come on, let's go. Come on to your great day. When I turned around, because I was so confused that he wasn't just like right behind me, I turned around, he gone. He is on the ground. He's laying flat on his back, and he is of a very light white shade of color. Now, he's already white, so he was whiter. He was very white. And he just kept saying over and over again, Sarah, I am not well. I am not well. So I was like, no, we were almost there. We had almost made it. Surely he's gonna get up anytime soon. Like he's just messing with me. And everyone was just in the back, just kind of like looking at him like, what is wrong with you? Get up. So I immediately ran off to grab him some crackers and some Sprite, because I knew he's a jokester, but I knew he was not well, just like he said. And so when I got back with the Sprite and the crackers, he was mumbling something to me, and I remember looking at my friend and client on the floor, speaking, but he literally was not making words. In his head, he was having a full-on conversation with me. There were bullet points, there were graphs. He was standing having a presentation with me, but literally nothing was coming out that you would ever find in the Webster's Dictionary. So once I knew that he was not gonna die, I started into my logistics brain. And the last time that I had talked to the vendors, the last time they heard from me, I had given them the green light. I was like, we are ready to go. This was about 5 to 10 minutes after the green light was given. So I'm sure they were all a bit curious, like, okay, Sarah gave me the green light. Where is she? What is she doing? At this point, we had gone through several green lights. We had gone through yellows and reds. But when I popped back out, the vendors were just kind of like dazed and confused. Like, hey, I've been playing music that I wasn't even supposed to be playing for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Like, what's going on? Pull it together, lady. Come on, get with it. So I had to have a full-on conversation with a man who was lying on the ground, speaking to me, telling me everything but nothing at all, and also talking to all of the vendors, letting them know, I have no clue, no idea how long this is gonna take. Y'all just need to be in a holding pattern. Like, pretend like you're a pilot and we're just at the airport and I'm not ready for you to land yet, so you just gotta circle. So I quickly did a room sweep, and I told the DJ, photographer, the caterer, and a close friend of mine who was walking the bride down the aisle, it was gonna be a minute. And I honestly didn't know what I was gonna find when I went back to check on my friend, client, who was laying on the ground. I didn't have a timeline for how sick he was or when he would be upright again. I just wanted to make sure he was okay, honestly, but I had all of these other moving pieces that were just kind of in a holding pattern. So I just told the vendors, hey, keep an eye out for me. If you see me and I give you any sort of signal that we are go, you just be ready to go and keep an eye out for me, because as soon as he's upright, I'm getting him down the aisle. So when I went back to check on him, the bride was now sitting by his side. And you know that, like, when awkward things happen, you know, no one knows what to say, where to look, how to act. But one thing is for sure, everyone just stares. It's like they just stare at you, and that's the last thing that you want them to do. So I knew that they needed some time alone, and I knew that the bridal party was all up in their grill. And so I saw this pretty quickly when I got back there. So I ended up telling the bridal party to go, shoo fly, give them some time. And then I sat down next to them, and the three of us sat there, and I said, y'all, you just take the time that you need. This is your wedding day. He's not feeling well, and I will come back and check on y'all in a little bit. And you just take the time that you need to make sure that he's okay, and we can start whenever you're ready. even though I told them that, I just gave them 15 minutes. In my head, I was like, max 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and check on them. And 15 minutes later, he was still not good. I mean, he was not good. But he felt like at some point soon, relatively soon, there was a chance that he was gonna be able to sit up. So we started with that. Let's just sit up and let's try that. There is this crazy thing that happens to people when they pass out or when they feel sick enough to pass out. It's why I do what I do, and I tell people, don't fight it. I have seen over and over again that the human brain, it needs good airflow and it needs oxygen. And if it's lacking, things get a bit interesting. All of a sudden, y'all, he just sort of like shot up. He was like, let's go. Let's do this. I am almost certain that when he did that, I had this look on my face like, you are crazy. But I thought, this might be my window. So let's get them down the aisle. So I literally turned to the bridal party and I was like, line up. And then I did this quick room sweep with all the vendors and I was like, let's go. I knew that without a doubt that he was talking gibberish. He was talking crazy talk. He was talking no oxygen, blood in the brain talk. And so, but for me, I didn't care because I was like, this is my chance and I was gonna take it. So again, I got them lined up. I turned to the bridal party and I said, let's go. This time he was following me and he was standing, which was good. But the color had not changed, no. He felt awful. He felt really bad and continued to feel bad for the rest of the night. So, you know, a bridal party processional, it's not the fastest thing in the world. So I was holding the reins back on myself multiple times. Like the music was playing and normally I would, you know, wait and let someone go. But I was just like, go, go. Because I had just sent him down the aisle and I knew it was just a matter of time before we would be in the same place that we were, on the ground. So my eyes, I was like complete multitasking. My eyes were on him at the altar while I was like kind of feeling for bridal party members and just kind of tapping them to go, but I locked eyes with him and I never took them off of him and just kept sending people down the aisle. And I may have sped up a little bit, I may have sped up the procession a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that the bride and the bridal party got in while he was still standing. The only time I took my eyes off of him was to get the bride down the aisle. It was the only time. When I got done getting her situated, I looked back up. There was a transformation in him. Casper the friendly ghost had arrived again, and this time was worse. I mean, I took my eyes off of him for 2 seconds. I have no idea what happened, but when I looked back, he's gone. So I sent the bride down the aisle, and normally I'm so excited and oh, I bet you can't wait to see him. In this situation, I was like, I hope you see him. He's still standing at this point. I really didn't know what to say. As the bride was walking down the aisle, I am creeping on the far side, like just walking up, just like, no one look at me. I'm not here. I just kept tiptoeing to the front. I've never done this before, and I spend all day at weddings trying to avoid the cameras, the videographers, anyone looking at me. I am the person that's moving all the pieces, but I don't want to be seen. And so I hated to have to do this, but I creeped up to the front like I was part of the bridal party. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, in case anything happened, that I would be there to help remove him from the situation or just help in anything that I could do. So I saw him going down. And as soon as I saw him, I swooped in with a chair that I stole off the front row and caught him caught him in the chair. Well, visualize this for me. Groom sitting, bride standing. We don't see those printed in Southern weddings or Martha Stewart weddings. No, we see both people standing. And so I said, well, if one's gonna sit, the other's gonna sit. So I got another chair. I looked at my friend and was like, you know, I would never do this, but I feel like it's necessary at this point. And so I got her a chair and sat her down next to him, and they were across from each other. I had them hold hands and just sit for a minute as the pastor continued with the ceremony. So they sat for most of their wedding. It was memorable, but they did. They sat for most of their wedding. And one of my favorite moments was when the pastor started with the vows. And my friend / client, who had been laying on the floor, not feeling good, it was great, because all of a sudden he stood up and he was like, I am bound and determined to stand while saying these vows to her. And it was a very sweet moment. And they stood and they said their vows, and then they sat back down. In the end, they're married. And you know, when they got to the vows and they said, good times, bad, sickness and health, you know, everybody that was there just sort of chuckled, which was good, because we needed a little moment that was less tense than the one that we were in. So they came back down, and immediately, I'll never forget, he was like, oh my gosh, this will be one of your stories. And I said, yes, it will be. So I'm so glad that I remembered it. And the rest of the evening was spent with them, really just kind of making sure that he was okay. He sat down most of the night. You know, the speeches, the cake cut, I mean, everything was just very brief, and then he was sitting down again. So, but as the night continued, he started to feel a little bit better, and I was so thankful for that, so that he could at least enjoy it. But, you know, sometimes in life, things like that happen, and that was definitely out of his control. And so I'm thankful that they're married and still married. And I'm thankful that he, to this day, I believe, still feels better. And I'm also thankful that it happened, because it is part of their story. And now y'all get to enjoy the story. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you next Tuesday for Stories with Sarah Lizabeth, if I get enough courage to share the one that I don't want to share. No, I'm going to hold on to that one, because that way, maybe marketing-wise, you'll come back and you'll listen some more. So stay tuned for the next one. We'll see you here next Tuesday.